All right, good morning, traders. Today is October 20th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following my content, liking my content, subscribing to my content, leaving kind words. Love that. Thank you for sharing my content. Special shout out to Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted for sharing the content. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, helping get the good word out there to the rest of the world. All right, let's take a look at what happened on Friday. All right, so my SPY pivot this morning, 660.75. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Gold made a new all-time high. SPY and QQQ made inside days, closing over bullish traps and over their 17 EMAs, so acting a little bullish there into the close Friday. Diamond Dow made an inside day, closing over a bearish trap, but under the 17 EMA. FNGU lower low, lower high, closing under inside a bearish trap under the 17. IWM lower low, lower high, closing under a bearish cross and under the 17 EMA. SPY closed with a weak one candle, 2-hour uptrend, and a 10-minute bullish consolidation. Silver made a lower low and a lower high, closing inside the bullish trap over the 17 USO in a daily downtrend. Made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. UNG in a daily downtrend made an inside day. That's a higher low and a lower high, closing inside a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. US dollar remains in an uptrend, closed near. That's not right. SPY max pain is 663 with a put to call ratio of about 1.2 puts for each call that expires today. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15 and the security options expire at 4. If you're new to this for the very first time, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they have a little star, they're building out a platform, and otherwise called a bear flag, from which to dip lower. If these have a star, none of them do. They're building out a launch pad from which to launch higher, otherwise known as a bull flag. Let's go take a look at the dollar. Make sure I don't know how I missed that. See what we got here on the dollar. Yeah, let me set this up just a second. Dollar. And we want the daily. And we'll give that some time to populate. If it wants to or it won't, we'll see what happens. We'll find a way to find it. Hey, good morning, Fahad. All right, let's take a look. SPY yesterday. Okay, so you got basically like some 10-minute consolidation right through here. Okay, left off, you had a look like the 3 was kind of rolling over underneath the 8 EMA right through here. So we'll see what happens. So 10-minute bullish consolidation. Again, you can see a move up like that and then over to the right. So bullish 10-minute consolidation right there. All right, let's take this off. Take this off. Go to the 2-hour chart. All right, on the 2-hour chart, we got a 1 candle uptrend right here. Okay, so a weak 1 candle uptrend on the SPY on the 2-hour chart right there. Okay, so not much of an uptrend on that. On the daily chart, we have an inside day. That's a lower high and a higher low. We closed over the bearish trap and over the 17 EMA up there. Okay, so still up there at the top of quadrant 4. We're still in a downtrend. We still have not made a higher high yet. So we're still stuck in the downtrend label. The good news is we're in a downtrend. It's not moving down. There's SPY on the daily chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Weekly's in an uptrend. You can see at the top of quadrant 4. Still hanging in there. uptrend and bullish on the weekly chart, monthly chart. Top of quadrant 4 up there, again, bullish and in an uptrend on the monthly chart. On the daily chart, like I said, still stuck in that downtrend because we haven't made the higher high yet. Okay, so the good news is we're not moving down. I just want to point out this will be the third day, was Friday, that we failed to kind of close in the upper third up there. Let me point out the upper third. Okay, we needed to close up there. Now this is supposed to go to, yeah, we didn't close in the upper third. Okay, so that would be the bullish side of this pullback that we had on Friday, not last Friday, but a week ago. Okay, so this is the third one. We could get a hard drop today, being 3 days in a row that we failed to break into the upper third. So there's a possibility of yet again another hard drop, at least probably even visiting these lows down here. We need to get up over this level right here and hold for like at least, you know, four 1 hour candles. Okay, got to get up over 665 and hold for like 4 1 hour candles. We'll see what happens. All right, so far it's looking good. We'll see what they come up with. Okay, so there's SPY on the daily chart. Okay, if they fail to hold up here for, you know, like 4 or 5 1 hour candles, all right, or continue moving higher, either way, whether they hold right on top of it and then just grind up later on, or if they just keep grinding and melting up, either way works for me. But I got to see 4 1 hour candles up there to help prove to me that they can hold the upper third. That would be the bullish 1/3 of this move that we happened over a week ago. Not Friday, not last Friday, but the Friday before that. Okay, this big sell-off right there. Okay, so there's the daily chart. We need it to hold up there. Failure to hold, we could see a big dip down. Just saying that that's possible. We'll see what happens. Okay, so there's SPY. I'm going to take this off. No, I'm going to leave that on. All right. Let's take a look at the game plan. All right, pull up here on the game plan, price action, and game plan for today. Okay, green erase is red entry over 665.55. Pivot is 660.75. Red erase is green entry underneath 657. I like 4 days and 11 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5. I like the open interest. Liquidity is most important for me. Okay, I trade strikes that are $2 to $15 out of the money. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. If a 10-minute uptrend were to manifest down here, long before the green erase is red entry, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. If a 10-minute downtrend were to manifest here or here, long before it gets to the red erase's green entry, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks the 10-minute bearish rubber band candle. All right, so either way, I don't have to wait for the red erases green or the green erases red. Soon as the 10-minute uptrend strikes and they break in rubber band candles, or I see a breakout, I can trade that. So that's what I'm looking for this morning. There's the SPY game plan. QQQ has a game plan as well. We'll share that. QQQ, green erase is red up over 604.90. The pivot is 600. Red erase is green entry underneath 695.50. All right, I like same thing as SPY. I trade 4 days till expiration and 11 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. I like the liquidity. Liquidity is premium for me. That's what I like. I like options that range anywhere from 30 cents per share up to $1.50 per share. After that, I kind of like roll out of them and roll into something lower. All right, because I got a small account. I'll be starting a new 27K account this morning. All right, I will trade strikes that are probably $2 to $15 out of the money. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, my favorite trade, whether it's QQQ or SPY, is the 10-minute uptrend inside the 2-hour uptrend that resides inside the daily uptrend that resides inside the weekly uptrend, the monthly uptrend. There you go, okay? All over the all-time high anchored VWAP. I like that. That's the premium trade for me. When you got all the bigger time frames in uptrends supporting my 10-minute uptrend, and they're all over the all-time high anchored VWAP, for me, it doesn't get any better than that, all right? That's the very best trade for me. That's what I like, all right? So let's take a look at QQQ, see how they fared on Friday. Let's take a look at them on the 10-minute chart. We'll find a clean chart here. Okay, 10-minute trend, kind of same thing. Bullish consolidation. You can see price popped up over or through resistance right here and consolidated up there, okay? Little wavy consolidation. You can see price action, but all in all up, holding the higher ground, moving to the right. Kind of a little bit of a sloppy consolidation, not in a straight line, but that works for me, okay? So price action kind of looking like a weak 10-minute downtrend, but all in all, I'm going to call that bullish consolidation. That's a bull flag. And you can see that it looks like they're breaking out in the pre-market this morning. So there's QQQ. Let's look at the 2-hour chart for QQQ. All right, QQQ got a got a 2-candle 2-hour uptrend. So a little bit stronger than SPY on the daily chart. Now, on the daily chart, QQQ never got itself into a downtrend because it never broke below the 17 EMA over here on not Friday, but the Friday before, okay, about a week ago Friday. All right, we never broke a lower low or a low that penetrated the 17 EMA. So QQQ is still in an uptrend, all right? So they're just kind of meandering inside this big red candle here. We'll see what happens with that, but that's the daily chart for they're still in an uptrend. So we got a week 2-candle 2-hour uptrend. So all in all, Qs this morning seem much stronger than SPY. So if I was to trade a 10-minute breakout or any breakout, I would look at QQQ first. I think they have more potential, and they're showing a little bit more strength than SPY at this time. On the weekly chart, still in an uptrend, bullish, still in an uptrend. Monthly charts, bullish and still in an uptrend. Okay, on the daily chart, again, still top of quadrant 4, bullish, and yet they are still in an uptrend up here. Let's take a look at FNGU. All right, FNGU is in a downtrend, okay, because they got a low, they made lower lows. All right, so they're in a downtrend, but yet they're up here in bullish territory. Take that off. Okay, we're getting slightly consolidation, sloppy consolidation, starting to form underneath prior consolidation. That is a bearish outlook. All right, so we'll see how long they want to continue with this bear flag that they're currently in. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. You know, we could see a move later today. We'll see. Again, you need to maintain the upper third of this move back. They are far from being in the upper third from this move back for FNGU. So, like I said, we could see a hard drop today. Like maybe, I think the last one was 25 points. We could see 30 or 40 point drop maybe in one day, or they could break it up into 5 days. We'll see what they want to do. We are in the middle of earnings. So there's FNGU on the daily chart. All right, let's take a look at IWM. lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish cross and underneath the 17 EMA. Okay, IWM they made a higher high, so they're still in an uptrend on IWM. Okay, top of quadrant 4, still in an uptrend. The middle of quadrant 4, excuse me. So in an uptrend, so still bullish and in an uptrend on the daily chart. Weekly chart, still bullish. Monthly chart, still bullish on IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, monthly chart, still bullish and in an uptrend. Weekly chart, bullish and still in an uptrend. Daily chart. All right, so we got a low right here. We made a lower low. That put us in a downtrend. Okay, we needed to make a higher high to negate the downtrend status. We failed right here. Okay, so if we look at price action here from the top to the bottom, right here probably represents the upper third. And you can see we are struggling to close candles just like SPY in that upper third to remain bullish. Okay, so we're still stuck in neutral territory right here on Diamond Dow, just like SPY and just like QQQ. All right, so there's Diamond Dow on the daily chart again in a bear flag. Not a really pretty bear flag, but a bear flag. It's been 5 days. We could see failure to break out, failure to close in the upper third. We could see a hard drop. All right. If you notice on Diamond Dow, you do have a head and shoulders pattern. All right, this would be the head. Okay, this would be right shoulder. This would be left shoulder. Okay, so there is a head and shoulders pattern on Diamond Dow. If you look at SPY, okay, we have the same thing. All right. We have a head right here, and then we have a right shoulder, and then we have a left shoulder. Okay? And if you want to look at QQQ, okay, we got the same thing. Everybody's showing the bearish head and shoulders pattern. It's imperative for price action to decapitate the head to negate the bearish head and shoulders pattern. All right, so that's why I'm saying be prepared for today. This has been 3 days. Failure to close in the upper third. We're meandering in the neutral territory. How long will they meander in the neutral territory? I don't know. Okay, like I said, could be a hard drop today. We'll see what happens, or a retest of the lows. Okay, so there's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at some commodities. We'll start with silver and gold. They're going to be easy to comment on because gold made a new all-time high. Okay, so obviously bullish and still in an uptrend. Silver made a lower low and a lower high, but closed inside that bullish trap over the rising 17, top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and still in an uptrend. Silver. UNG made an inside day. Right here, you can see daylight underneath that candle. Lower high, higher low, closing inside bearish trap. Underneath falling 17. Day before, not Friday, but Thursday, was a new all-time low down there. So they are bearish. Let's zoom out. Here's your head and shoulders pattern. Bearish and in a downtrend. Okay, things are not looking good. We're starting to show some cracks in the market. I just want to point that out. Okay, you got natural gas at an all-time low. Now let's go see USO. We got gold at an all-time high. Okay, why would gold be at an all-time high when the market's making all-time highs? We're starting to show some cracks up here. All right, people could be flooding to gold for safety. All right, as they wean themselves out of stocks and securities. Okay, so here's USO. Here is, let's move this over here. Okay, you can see USO definitely in a downtrend. Got a high. There's, see, it comes up over the 17. There's a lower high. We have a low. Here's a lower low. Okay, USO is bearish because they're in the lower third right here. In the lower third, they're bearish and in a downtrend. Okay, so energy is kind of sucking right now. Okay, it's not doing too well. Gold's flying high. All right, and we're starting to see some cracks develop, like some triple tops, some failure to make higher highs, some failure to regain the bullish territory. Okay, so we're starting to see a few cracks. That's why I want you guys to be prepared, just in case today they can't make it up and hold that higher ground in the bullish territory. Okay, they could be a hard fall coming. All right, so there's the daily chart. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap underneath the 17 EMA. Let's take a look at our technicals. It's right over here. T2101. Okay, now notice for Friday's price action, we had a little bit of bearishness and a lot of bullishness. Okay, on the bearishness, typically on the bearishness, we've been moving up with participation, but quite different on Friday. Could have been the options. It was OPEX for October, okay? But on the options, notice the participation, market breadth, increased with the bullish price action. It has not been that way the past, I don't know, since right back here at the double bottom. Okay, it's not been like that. Maybe a change in character, I don't know. It'd be nice to see price action get more breadth when we are bullish. Is this just an outlier day? I don't know. That is a strange happening in the last 30 days since the double bottom. All right, we've got one bottom in the reversal zone, second bottom in the reversal zone. Ever since then, we have not been bullish. When the market price has been bullish, the market breadth has been bearish. But Friday was different, and it could have been the options. All right, market breadth increased as price action increased. Okay, so like I said, some spooky things are happening out there. I don't know. I welcome that if that's what they're going to do. That would be nice to see market breadth increase and then price action increase. That would be a beautiful thing. So there's T2101, T2122 for the 17th. That was Friday. You can see the 16th. We closed right here in the seller's chop zone. Quite different on the T2122. We spent the majority of the day in the sell zone, knocking on the door a couple times, couple of visits inside the oversold zone, 1, 2, 3 here. And then we came back to close inside the seller's chop zone, but not much better than where we closed on the 16th, okay? Still showing some signs of weakness, showing bear flag right through here. All right, unless of course they can drive it on up to the buyer's chop zone. That would be, I would be cautious today with my longs. All right, just be cautious unless they can drive it up there. All right, I would be cautious with my longs on T2122, T2123. Okay, this is the 17th. Not quite the same price action as SPY got. You can see we got lows and not much of a recovery here. Okay, so we got a bearish gap down. All right, there's a clue right there. Bearish gap down. That's why I'm saying there's cracks. Okay, bearish gap down, and the bulls never filled the gap. Okay, that's T2123. You know that's a big one. We watch this one quite often. Okay, so Bearish gap down, never filled the gap, showing weakness on the bulls part for the third day in a row of unable to, in the SPY, close in the upper third. That's why I'm saying be careful. Okay, so now we've got rolling over 200 SMA here. You can see from the high to the low, we're still down here in bearish quadrant 1 from the shorter time frame picture, from the high down to the pullback low. We're still in quadrant 1 of the high to the pullback low. So we're not really in really bullish territory at this time. Also, I must point out that we have made a lower low. All right, so here's a low from the 16th, and yet we've made a lower low. Okay, so still in a downtrend right there. All right, so there's T2123 15-minute chart. Are we coming all the way back down to test these lows? I think there's a possibility, all right, unless, of course, SPY can get up there and they can start holding or break out and start holding up on top of this falling 200 SMA. Other than that, I really think we may see a visit down here. At least test them. We'll see. T2123, 3-bar chart, still in a downtrend. We have a high, we have a lower high, we have a low, we have a lower low, okay? 3-bar chart on T2123, still in a downtrend, again from the all-time high to the pullback low. We're still down here in quadrant 1, okay? That's not where we want to be. And now we are under the 3-bar 200 SMA right there, okay? Not where we want to be. Not if we're going to be bullish. All right, so there's T2123. Let's take a look at FNGU. All right, on price action for FNGU. Here's the 16th. Again, failing to hold over the 200 SMA. See the flat 200 SMA. I'm going to call it wavy or flat, okay? And back down here, guess what? Testing the lows once again, all right? And you can start to see price action is holding underneath, starting to begin to accumulate underneath prior consolidation, and we're seeing a buildup of consolidation under consolidation, which is a bearish outlook, okay? Remember, consolidation over prior consolidation is bullish. Well, the reverse is also true. Consolidation under prior consolidation is a bearish outlook. Okay, so here's price action right through here. Again, we are in an uptrend with FNGU on the 15-minute chart. Okay, you can see price action making a higher low and producing a higher high, okay? Question is, can they get all the way back up here over the 200 SMA? I'm seeing quite a bit of struggle right here in the pre-market. We will know in about hour and a half if they can hold over this fading 200 SMA right there, okay? FNGU on the 15-minute chart. In an uptrend, but not very strong. Okay, so there's FNGU. All right, let's go back and take a look at SPY one more time, and we can talk about how we traded it on Friday. Okay, look at SPY on the 10-minute chart. Okay, so it was quite choppy. All right, it was out of the gate was a brief 10-minute uptrend, followed by interrupted by a brief 10-minute downtrend that was then halted with a double bottom, and then we started another 10-minute uptrend that didn't go far but consolidated. Then we pulled back, picked up some spinach and mustard, all right, some red meat, you know what I'm saying, some iron, all right, and then price action again began to drive up here and consolidate over prior consolidation. That's where we left off with SPY, okay? several 10-minute uptrends right through there. Not several, more like 3. All right, a few. Okay, a few is what, 2 or more, right? Two to 4. All right, so there's SPY. Okay, so here's our downtrend line. No, that's not our downtrend line. That's a head and shoulders. Let's look at our downtrend line to see where we are in relation to it. All right, you can see currently we're above the downtrend line. Are we breaking the downtrend line? Again, we won't know unless we can see, about 4 1-hour candles consolidate up there and kind of show us that they can hold some higher ground. We'll see. Again, they need to break out and be up over 665. Currently, 660, 660. All right, that's a good start for the day. But we're in the pre-market where volume is much lower than it is in the open market. So we will not know until about another hour and a half. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. And see what we got here. Economic package. Did the dollar decide to populate for us? No. Let's try it again. Meanwhile, we'll go off and look at nice. All right, we'll find another way. All right, economic calendar for today. Let me make sure I got the right day. Don't forget, we're still in the midst of our government shutdown, so we're still not getting all the economic data we're looking for. Obviously, you can see already CPI, which is normally presented or released on a Wednesday, pushed out to a Friday, and even though the Friday, it's still being delayed due to the government shutdown. That was scheduled for next Friday, and they're already saying it's not going to be ready. For today, nothing really happening. Really light day for today. Feeling like a deja vu, like maybe like, I don't know if you guys were here for like last Monday was like Columbus Day, was kind of dead and dull. And we're coming into those holiday months where, let me just say, price action does get dead and dull quite often. In other words, the big boys, the veterans, the graybeards are all taking their extended vacations, all right, or extended holidays. They're making those holidays, they're adding those vacation days onto their holidays to grab a few more days off. And you're not going to see a lot of the big boys around in the next 2 months here. Okay, it's going to get kind of thin, maybe with some volume. We'll see what happens. All right, because the graybeards are probably going to be taking some time off. All right, they really had a fantastic year, and they're going to take a well-deserved extended holidays. Okay, so. Just when you think Thursday, don't count on Black Friday being a lot of volume or a lot of market breadth on Friday. All right, which would be Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. Okay, same with the holidays coming up. Again, the graybeards they earn their pay this year. Markets at whopper new all-time highs. So. Expect to see volume a little thin, all right, and just be prepared for that. All right, so nothing much happening today. Supposed to get leading indicators at 10. We'll see if they show up, all right. Tomorrow, nothing happening tomorrow. Treasury buyback program, that's it. Announcement, really. Wednesday, MBA mortgage applications at 7. I don't even check on that to see if they're populating or being released, but anyways, they're scheduled for 7. I don't know if the government shutdown is even affecting them. Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations, 10 o'clock. Not sure if that's going to be released. Petroleum report, 10:30. That is normal on a Wednesday. Gas report, 10:30 on a Thursday. Yes, it is. Jobless claims, 8:30. Again, government shutdown. We'll see if they want to release the numbers or even compile them to release them. Chicago Fed National Activity Index. We're on Thursday now. Okay, 8:30 in the morning on Thursday. We'll see if they're going to release that. Existing home sales, 10 o'clock on Thursday. Again, gas report, 10:30. And that's it for Thursday. Really light week, all right? CPI was scheduled to be released on the 26th. No, on Friday the 24th. PMI composite flash, 9:45. Home sales, new home sales, 10 o'clock on Friday. Consumer sentiment at 10, rig count at 1. All right, so again, I don't know how much is going to be released already. CPI is being delayed, okay? That can't be good. All right, let's take a look at earnings. We are beginning a new round of earnings, so there could be some big boys reporting here. So today's Monday. We've got Steel Dynamics, W.R. Berkley Corporation, okay? Some familiar names, nothing that's going to move the markets. As far as earnings go, Netflix going to report tomorrow night, $500 billion. That's a market mover. GE Aerospace, probably defense as well, $317 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. Coca-Cola, $290 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. Philip Morris, we know them as tobacco, $242 billion. They're going to report in the morning. RTX, I think that's Raytheon, and I'm pretty sure that's a defense contractor. $210 billion. They should be doing well with the Ukraine war, as long as we're feeding Ukraine, ammunitions and supplies. Texas Instruments tomorrow night, $159 billion. Not really a market mover. Netflix will be the one to keep an eye on. The rest of them, I'm going to tell you: Capital One, Lockheed Martin, more defense, all familiar names. Nothing really market moving, but definitely sector moving in there. Okay, so let's take a look at Wednesday. All right, Tesla, that's a big one there. $1.5 trillion. They're going to report Wednesday evening. SAP Global, that's $335 billion. They're going to report in the evening. International Business Machines, IBM, $262 billion. They're going to report in the evening alongside Tesla and SAP. So a lot of market cap reporting Wednesday evening. All right. Thermo Fisher, $203 billion in the morning on Wednesday. AT&T, $188 billion on the morning on Wednesday. Lam Research, $179 billion in the evening on Wednesday, along with Tesla. GE Vernova, $163 billion in the morning time. Amphenol Corporation, $153 billion. Boston Scientific, $147 billion. And CME Group, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, all in the morning right there, those three. Okay, so the big one to keep an eye on is Tesla. I think that's one of the big boys. One of the heavyweights inside the SPY and the QQQ. That can be a market mover. So that will be a headliner so far. I haven't looked at the rest of the week. T-Mobile, again, more familiar names. Nothing really market moving here except for Intel. Intel should be interesting. I don't know if that's going to be market moving, but it will be interesting to see what Intel reports. On Friday, we got Procter & Gamble, $354 billion. They're going to report in the morning. Sanofi, $124 billion. I think that's Carl Icahn's group, $117 billion. ICI right there. So, and again, more familiar names. The headliner is going to be obviously Tesla, meaning Google, Microsoft are coming up either the week after or the week after that. They're coming up soon anyways. All right, because Tesla's reporting on Wednesday evening. All right, so we'll look at Max Payne. Max Payne 663. That's for the SPY calls and puts that expired today at 4:15. 663. Put to call ratio. There is no put squeeze. equal puts, just about 1.2 puts for each call. So it's almost 1-to-1 right there. See if we can get the dollar to populate one more time. Yeah, not going to work. Let's see what I get for DXY. Yeah, that's not the same. I'd have to pull up another one. Well, let me drive. Let me get. Looking for trading view. And I want DXY or US dollar. There it is. Okay, 98. No, that's what we're at now. And I want the daily chart. See if I can figure out how to get the daily chart. I can just look where they closed. If I knew where they closed, some of these places close at a different time. It says here they're plus 3%, so that means they probably closed at 98.51 around that area yesterday. So 98.51, and now they're saying -6. So it's hard to decipher. Anyways, you can see we either closed somewhere around 98.60, somewhere between 98.60 and 98.50, right through there. So still, obviously, still in an uptrend right there. Dollar still in an uptrend, but still in a bear flag. Wish I could find how to move it to a different time frame. I'll have to figure that out again. All right, so that's it for me. Yeah, I tried DXY. I only got the 5-minute. If you got the daily, maybe you could tell me where we closed last night. So if not, it's okay. Anyways, it's somewhere between 98.50 and 98.60, as far as I see right now. All right. Rickster says, "Hey, good morning. I wonder when the government comes back. Do all these economic reports come all out at once? That would be interesting. I don't know whether we're going to need you know, 7 jobless claims. You know what I'm saying, Rickster? I don't know whether all 7 jobless claims are going to be that valuable to us, or we'll get to see. We'll get to see if there's a trend. So I don't know. We'll see. I would think they would, you know, in order to provide trend in the jobless claims. So we'll see what happens. That's an interesting question. I'd love to know that. Netflix, Fahad says Netflix tomorrow will lead the techs. Awesome. That'd be great. Hope so. Hopefully. They're going to report Netflix. Where'd I have it? Right here. Netflix. Earnings. Yeah, Netflix is going to report tomorrow. Yeah, in the evening. So Netflix leads. Okay, he's saying Netflix. I get it now. All right, light bulb just went off. All right, so he's saying Netflix is the leading one for the big techs. All right, the meganopolies or around there. All right, and then comes Tesla, then comes Microsoft, Google, and the rest of them. Yeah. Yeah, no, I figured it out. Don't worry about it. You did good. You did good. I just need more coffee. Yeah, because they're going to need to compare it to a previous month, so they're going to have to compile them all. Rickster's saying yes, or they need release like PPI comes up in a report previous month. Yeah, I think they're going to need to report all of them, because they're going to need to show increases or decreases based on weekly time frames or monthly time frames. Yeah, I'm with you, Rickster. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, so that's it for me for today. I'll be back in about 35 minutes, and we'll open up the markets and we'll trade them live again. All right, keep your britches on because, okay, on SPY, we got to hold up over that 1/3 line. Okay, I'll give you one more peek at it. Okay, we need to be in the upper third. We need to see more than 2 1-hour candles up here. Okay, you need to see like 4 or 5. Show us that they can hold the higher ground. All right, you got to be up here. We'll see what happens on SPY. Okay, got to be up here. Got to be able to hold it. Notice they go up, they give it up. They go up, they give it up. They go up. Here's the question: are we going to give it up again? As we give it up this time, I think could be a hard fall. If we hold, that'll be interesting. All right. All right, traders. I'll see you guys in about 30 minutes.